Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an Airbus A330 pilot, and in today's video I want to talk about the golden rules for Airbus pilot. I'm sure many of you have already seen this little card over here. Airbus actually gives them out in form of like credit cards and stuff like that. You can really get those in a lot of places. But today let's analyze what exactly those 4 rules actually mean and how you would practically apply them. So let's start. The first rule is one that you probably have heard 1,000 times. Now, fly, navigate and communicate in this order with appropriate task sharing. Now, fly means the pilot flying must concentrate on flying the aircraft to monitor and control the pitch, attitude, bank angle, airspeed, thrust, side slip, heading, etc. in order to achieve and maintain the desired targets, vertical path and lateral flight path. The pilot monitoring must assist the pilot flying and must actively monitor flight parameters and call out any excessive deviation. The pilot monitoring's role of actively monitoring is very important and can't be overemphasized. Therefore, for the fly part, both flight crew members must focus and concentrate on their tasks to ensure appropriate task sharing and maintain the situational awareness and immediately resolve any uncertainty as a crew. Next comes the navigate part. And navigate refers to and includes the following 4 know-where statements in order to ensure situational awareness. That's know where you are, know where you should be going, know where you should be, and know where the weather, terrain and obstacles are. Last comes communicate, and communicate is something that's often misunderstood by flight simmers. Communicate does not mean air traffic control. Communicate means communicating within the crew, pilot flying and pilot monitoring, respectively captain and first officer. Only after that comes air traffic control, the cabin crew, the ground crew. Communications enable the flight crew to safely and appropriately perform the flight and enhance situational awareness. To ensure good communication, the flight crew should use standard phraseology and the applicable callouts. In abnormal and emergency situations, the pilot flying must recover a steady flight path and the flight crew must identify the flight situation. The pilot flying must then inform ATC and the cabin crew of the flight situation and the flight crew's intention. The flight crew must therefore always keep in mind the key message: fly the aircraft, and fly the aircraft. To safely and appropriately perform a flight, both crew members must have basic flying skills and must be able to fly with appropriate task sharing in all situations. And this leads us to the second important rule, that's use the appropriate levels of automation at all times. Now, what does that mean? Aircraft are equipped with several levels of automation used to perform specific tasks. The appropriate use of automated systems significantly helps the flight crew with, for example, workload management, situational awareness such as knowing where traffic is, keeping ATC on your plan, etc. The flight crew must at all times perform both of the following: determine and select the appropriate level of automation that can include manual flight. And note, the decision to use manual flight must be agreed between both pilots and must be based on an individual assessment of the pilot. This assessment should include the aircraft status such as ball functions, fatigue, weather conditions, traffic situation, and if the pilot flying is familiar with the area. And they must understand the operational effect of the selected level of automation. Now let's have a look at some different levels of automation. So Airbus has defined several different levels of automation, and we can start with automatic managed. That means everything is controlled by the aircraft. Autopilot is on, you're in nav mode, you're in either climb, descent or alt cruise. So therefore everything is managed by the flight management system and the aircraft is guided along the predefined flight path. The next level below that is automatic selected. So with that, for example, we could go to heading. If we are in heading mode, obviously we have to steer the aircraft along the route if we intend to fly along the route. So is that an appropriate mode for the time being? No, it's not. You want to fly along the route, so use nav mode. It's going to do exactly that. Then you have managed manual. So that is using the flight director in order to fly along the pre-planned route. And last you have selected manual flight. Selected manual means that you are using modes such as heading, vertical speed, etc. while using the flight director guidance, but you manually fly the aircraft. And last, you have raw data, in which you have completely switched off the automatics, so the flight directors are off, and the pilot is manually controlling the aircraft. Now, the capacity demanded from the pilot decreases in that order. So, managed automatic, least pilot capacity required. Selected automatic, a little bit more pilot capacity required, because you gotta keep an eye on your heading, on your vertical speed, whatever you are currently using. You gotta monitor a little bit more. In manual managed modes, you have to pay even more attention as you are now actively steering the aircraft. And of course, with selected manual flight, you have to think about even more things, because now you gotta think about which heading do I want, which vertical speed do I want, and that kind of stuff, all while manually flying the aircraft. The lowest level of automation, full manual flight, so raw data flying without the flight director, of course requires the most capacity from the pilots. So with that in mind, let's now go ahead and have a look at the next rule, which is understand the FMA at all times. Now this is one that flight simmers really have trouble with. The FMA is what you find on the top of the primary flight display, and this tells you exactly what your aircraft automation is doing. It tells you what the flight director commands, it tells you what the autopilot follows. So it is very important that you have your eye on this. Disregard what you see up here on the FCU. Always have a look at the FMA. That tells you what your aircraft is doing. Now, the flight crew must confirm the operational effect of all actions on the FCU or on the MCDU via a cross-check of the corresponding enunciation or data on the PFD and on the ND. At all times, the flight crew should be aware of the following: guidance modes, armed or engaged; guidance targets, that means which heading does it guide the aircraft to; if nav mode is on, which waypoint does it want to fly to; aircraft response in terms of attitude, speed and trajectory of the inputs that you made, and the transition or reversion of modes. Think, for example, if you're in descent mode, but now you receive a radar vector and you turn off your route, then your aircraft is going to revert from descent mode into vertical speed mode. In vertical speed, you have less protection available, the aircraft might go into an overspeed. So that's the kind of stuff that you should always have in mind. Let's have a look at a practical example over here. So we want to initiate the descent towards Düsseldorf. Let's go down to flight level 260. You can see I've dialed it in, I've pressed the button, but now we've got to look at the FMA and make the call out: descend, alt, flight level 260 blue. And with that we confirm that the aircraft is indeed doing what we want it to do. So it's starting the descent towards flight level 260, it's in managed descent mode. We could accidentally have selected open descent. The switch might be broken. Maintenance might have confused the two inputs and the reaction of the knob might be reversed. You don't know what exactly might happen. But it is very important that you check the FMA to check what exactly your aircraft is doing. Now, moving on from there, you got to ensure the correct situational awareness at all times, and therefore you must monitor the FMA, announce the FMA, confirm the FMA, and understand the FMA. Let's move on to the fourth rule, which we've kind of took away a little bit already. That's take action if things do not go as expected. If the aircraft does not follow the desired vertical or lateral flight path or the selected target, and if the flight crew does not have sufficient time to analyze and solve the situation, the flight crew must immediately take appropriate or required actions as follows. The pilot flying should change the level of automation from managed guidance to selected guidance, or from selected guidance to manual flight. The pilot monitoring should perform the following actions in sequence: communicate with the pilot flying, challenge the actions of the pilot flying when necessary, and take over when necessary. Well, and these are the 4 golden rules for Airbus pilots. If you follow these rules, you can't really do much wrong anymore in operating your Airbus. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this one interesting. Be sure to leave your feedback in the comments underneath the video. I'm very much looking forward to them. As always, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and if you really love what I'm doing on the channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one.